You won't believe what people have bought with Bitcoin. I'm talking about supercars, private islands, space tickets, and one purchase so legendary that it's celebrated with its own holiday. These aren't just ordinary splurges. These are the wildest and craziest things ever bought with Bitcoin. Purchases that made headlines and changed Bitcoin history forever. And the timing? Insane. Some of these buyers dropped their Bitcoin when it was practically worthless. Bitcoin that today would buy you a mansion in every major city around the world. From a Hollywood-worthy Lamborghini story to tropical paradise real estate, we're counting down the 5 most mind-blowing Bitcoin purchases of all time. The last one might just blow your mind. It's so iconic that crypto fans worldwide celebrate it every single year. So let's jump in with number 5. Number 5 is a private yacht for 250 Bitcoin. In 2017, luxury yacht broker Denison Yachting made headlines when they became one of the first companies to sell massive yachts for Bitcoin. This was during a time when cryptocurrency was still considered highly experimental for large purchases, making this transaction particularly groundbreaking. One particularly notable sale involved an anonymous buyer who dropped an estimated 250 Bitcoin on a stunning private yacht. At the time, during the 2017 bull run, Bitcoin was fluctuating between $5,000 and $20,000 a coin, making this yacht worth approximately $2 million. The timing is interesting here, because this purchase happened right when Bitcoin was getting mainstream attention. News outlets were just starting to cover crypto millionaires, and this yacht purchase embodied the luxury lifestyle that Bitcoin suddenly made possible for early adopters. But here's the kicker. Those 250 Bitcoin, today they'd be worth around $25 million. I guess that's the price of sailing the high seas in style. Imagine explaining to your friends that your yacht actually cost you $23 million in opportunity cost. Denison Yachting must have been onto something, because they still accept Bitcoin today, and they've even upgraded to selling super yachts for crypto now. Their director of business development said at the time, "It's a way to combine both a passion in yachting and an interest in a new technology and asset class." Talk about luxury meeting innovation. Number 4 is a Virgin Galactic space flight for 250 to 300 Bitcoins. Back in December of 2013, Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic made a truly out-of-this-world announcement. They would accept Bitcoin for tickets to the edge of space. This was a massive publicity moment for both Bitcoin and Virgin Galactic, with Branson strategically positioning himself at the intersection of 2 cutting-edge technologies. When these tickets first went on sale, they cost $250,000 USD, and depending on Bitcoin's price at the time, it would have been roughly 250 to 300 Bitcoin. This was already a significant purchase. $250,000 for a few minutes in suborbital spaceflight might seem extravagant to most people, but for early Bitcoin investors, it represented a chance to literally reach for the stars. Those same 250 Bitcoin today, an astronomical $25 million. That's enough to buy a small aerospace company of your own. Several prominent people in the tech community reportedly purchased their tickets with Bitcoin, though most have kept their identities private. What we do know is that around a dozen early Bitcoin adopters secured their spot on future Virgin Galactic flights using cryptocurrency. Here's the ironic twist though. Most of those Virgin Galactic flights have been delayed for years. So not only did these space tourists pay in what would become incredibly valuable Bitcoin, but many are still waiting for their actual trip to space. Talk about a double financial hit, losing millions in potential Bitcoin value and waiting over a decade for the actual service. As Branson himself put it, Virgin Galactic is a bold entrepreneurial technology, and Bitcoin is a bold entrepreneurial technology. Bold indeed, Richard, though perhaps his company should have HODLed those Bitcoin payments instead of converting them to cash, because they'd probably be able to fund their entire space program just from the appreciation. Number 3 is a Bali luxury villa for 800 Bitcoin. In 2014, as Bitcoin was gaining more mainstream attention, real estate agencies in tropical paradises like Bali started accepting crypto for property purchases. This was a significant moment in Bitcoin's evolution. Reports from 2014 confirm luxury villas in Bali being sold for hundreds of Bitcoin. One notable example involves an 800 Bitcoin transaction. At the time, with Bitcoin hovering between $600 and $800, this villa cost the equivalent of about $500,000 to $600,000 at the time. This was no ordinary property, We're talking about a multi-bedroom luxury villa with infinity pools, ocean views, and the full tropical paradise experience. The transaction itself was revolutionary because it happened entirely on the blockchain. No banks, no currency conversion fees, and no waiting days for international transfers to clear. Just Bitcoin changing digital wallets and the keys to a physical paradise changing hands. Fast forward to today, and those 800 Bitcoin would be worth an eye-watering $80 million. That's enough to buy an entire resort in Bali now. And can you imagine spending what would become $80 million on a single villa? That's what this anonymous buyer effectively did. To avoid complicated international banking regulations, the island has a large expat community and a growing number of digital nomads, exactly the kind of tech-savvy individuals likely to own cryptocurrency. While the buyer remains anonymous, reports confirmed multiple villas were purchased with Bitcoin during this period. Some property developers in Bali have said that cryptocurrency buyers often completed transactions in days rather than weeks, demonstrating another advantage of Bitcoin purchases. Number 2 is the Lamborghini Gallardo for 217 Bitcoin. In 2013, Lamborghini Newport Beach became one of the first dealerships to sell a Lamborghini Gallardo for Bitcoin, reportedly for 216.8 BTC. This wasn't just any car purchase. This was a statement. Remember, in 2013, Bitcoin was still considered by many to be internet funny money, or a passing fad. Walking into a dealership and buying a supercar with cryptocurrency was practically unheard of. According to reports, the dealership was initially skeptical, but agreed to the transaction after consulting with their financial department. The actual transfer happened right there in the showroom, with the buyer sending Bitcoin from his digital wallet while salespeople watched in amazement. At the time, Bitcoin was valued around $540 to $600, making the car worth approximately $125K. For early Bitcoin adopters who'd been accumulating coins when they were just a few dollars or even pennies, this represented an incredible return on investment already. Today, those same 217 Bitcoin would be worth about $22 million. That's enough to buy a whole fleet of Lamborghinis. In fact, you could buy about 80 brand new Lamborghini Huracans at current prices. This purchase is particularly significant because it helped inspire the famous crypto meme, When Lambo, shorthand for when will my crypto investments make me rich enough to buy a Lamborghini? This meme has become so embedded in crypto culture that conferences often have Lamborghinis parked outside, and social media influencers pose with the cars as symbols of crypto success. The Newport Beach dealership reportedly sold multiple cars for Bitcoin after this initial sale, cementing the connection between crypto wealth and luxury vehicles. They became one of the first mainstream businesses to embrace cryptocurrency for high-value purchases. And what's even more interesting is how this connected two very different communities, the tech-focused crypto world and the flashy supercar scene. In many ways, this purchase helped give Bitcoin tangible, real-world validation in a way that resonated with people outside of the tech sphere. And now, the most legendary Bitcoin purchase of all time, the transaction that changed cryptocurrency history forever. This is the billion-dollar pizza for 10,000 BTC. On May 22nd, 2010, a date now celebrated worldwide as Bitcoin Pizza Day, Florida programmer Laszlo Hanyecz made what would become the first real Bitcoin transaction. At this point, Bitcoin had existed for barely more than a year, and it had never been used to buy anything tangible. Laszlo posted on the Bitcoin Talk forum with a simple request. I'll pay 10,000 Bitcoins for a couple pizzas, like maybe 2 large ones, so I have some left over for the next day. He even specified that he liked things like onions, peppers, sausage, mushrooms, tomatoes, but not fish. And what's fascinating is that Laszlo had to wait 4 days for someone to take him up on his offer. That's how little faith people had in Bitcoin at the time. Eventually, a British teenager named Jeremy Sturdivant, username Jericos, took him up on the offer, ordering the pizzas online for delivery to Laszlo in Florida and receiving the 10,000 Bitcoin in exchange. Laszlo even posted a photo of the pizzas as proof of the transaction. These weren't even particularly special pizzas, just regular Papa John's pizzas. At the time, Bitcoin was worth less than a penny each, making those pizzas worth about $41 in total. For Laszlo, it was a fair deal. He'd mined the Bitcoin himself using his computer's GPU. But those 10,000 Bitcoin today would be a mind-blowing $1 billion at current prices of around $100,000 per Bitcoin. That makes these officially the most expensive pizzas in human history. Each slice would be worth about $120 million, and each bite alone would be worth millions. Interestingly, the teenager who received the Bitcoin, Jeremy, didn't hold on to them for very long. He spent the coins when they were only worth about $400 in total. He later said, "If I had treated it as an investment, I might have held on a bit longer." That's an understatement. Every year on May 22nd, crypto enthusiasts around the world celebrate Bitcoin Pizza Day by ordering pizza and reflecting on how far Bitcoin has come. Crypto exchanges, wallet providers, and even traditional restaurants offer Pizza Day specials. Laszlo later commented in interviews, it wasn't like Bitcoins had any value back then. So the idea of trading them for a pizza was incredibly cool. Cool indeed, Laszlo, but probably a bit painful to think about now. When asked if he regrets the purchase, Laszlo has maintained a surprisingly positive attitude. He says, "I don't regret it. I think that it's great that I got to be part of the early history of Bitcoin." He's also pointed out that his purchase helped prove that Bitcoin could actually work as a currency. Some crypto analysts have argued that without Laszlo's pizza purchase, establishing a real-world value for Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency might never have gained the momentum that it needed to become what it is today. So while he may have lost out on $1 billion personally, he helped create a multi-trillion-dollar asset class. In a very real sense, these two pizzas changed the course of financial history. So there you have it. Those are the top 5 craziest things ever purchased with Bitcoin. From $41 worth of pizza that would now be worth $1 billion, to luxury yachts, space flights, villas, and Lamborghinis, these purchases show just how dramatically Bitcoin has grown in value over the years. But before you feel too bad for these early spenders, remember, without these pioneering transactions proving that Bitcoin could actually be used to buy real things, it might never have gained the traction that it needed to become the digital gold that it is today. It's easy to look back with perfect hindsight, but the truth is, these purchases were revolutionary at the time. Each transaction helped build confidence in a system that many skeptics said would never work. They weren't just buying products, they were buying into a vision of the future. And some interesting perspective, Satoshi Nakamoto, Bitcoin's mysterious creator, is estimated to hold around 1 million Bitcoin, which at today's prices is approximately $100 billion. Yet as far as we know, Satoshi has never spent a single coin. And sometimes the hardest part of investing isn't buying, it's not selling. There's also a profound lesson here about the nature of money itself. For thousands of years, money has been whatever enough people agree has value. And these purchases were moments when people agreed that Bitcoin has value. And that agreement has only grown stronger with time. If you enjoyed this wild ride through Bitcoin history, then smash that like button, subscribe for more Bitcoin content, and let me know in the comments, what would you have bought with Bitcoin if you had it back in 2010? Until next time, I'm Bo Turner, and remember, HODL responsibly, or at least think twice before you spend your Bitcoin on pizza.